All right, welcome, folks. It's that time of the month again, and I have another awesome team member joining me, the woman herself, Quality Assurance Lead, Zoeii Morrison. Thanks for coming on, Kim.
Hey, thanks for inviting me out. I'm really excited to talk to everyone in the community.
You're very welcome. Something we love talking about a lot, which is quality assurance and testing, the topics for today. I know there's a lot of excited VIPs out there that their ears prick up as soon as they hear the testing word, and QA goes all hand in hand with that. So, what we will do, we'll go through, same as normal. We'll read out, we won't read names, but we will go in order of the forums. The thread that was posted a week ago for the VIPs to get in and get their questions to us to be answered. We'll go through that list and answer as best as we can, and then towards the end we'll open it up to some live questions and go from there. So, if you are ready, Kim, I'll start with the first one.
Yep, I'm ready.
All right, so there's a couple of good ones in here, so we'll have to, have a look at how we answer some of these. But there has been little activity on the official testing forums. Are there any plans to update or provide feedback on previous issues found so that there is follow-up for testers during the next phase? Or will the next phase be a start from scratch for Project Further?
So yeah, I'll be every time we do pre-alpha, I try to post some known issues. So we'll definitely be doing that again. Our focus for the next testing session is likely going to be quite different than previous ones because new content that's being put in. So, but yeah, we'll definitely get some posts out when we're getting closer to the next session. So you'll have plenty of time to review everything and ask questions.
Yeah, good stuff. And there's little activity on the PA forums because we're in between PA testing sessions. We're not going to use them. We'll actually close them down, and just the devs will be hard at working on fixing the bugs and everything from the previous ones and then getting ready for the next one too. So we would like to shift everyone back to the official forums so you can take part in community stuff and keep the conversations and the interactions going with everybody in the community. And then when we open up PA, we go back to the PA forums, just in case anyone wondered why. So the next question from the same person is, what are the order of priorities for testing in importance? For example, damage calculations, pathing, economic impact, spell timing, network impact, or other issues. Do we have an order of or a priority list that we kind of work by? Uh-oh.
Lost you there again, but I think I got the gist of the question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, so this could be a slippery slope, right? I don't really want to talk too much about what the devs have been hard at work on, but sure, yeah, there's going to be a priority. I've always wanted to go into the PAs with very specific goals in mind. I know a lot of you want to get in and test everything that's new, and that's great, but I do hope to have some guidance as far as what the focus is. As far as damage is concerned, one thing to note is that's something that's really going to be fluctuating a lot all the way up until launch. There's going to be different systems that are put in. Maybe AI becomes more robust, and we'll constantly be having to balance things. So no, I wouldn't be crunching Excel documents just yet. But certainly we want to know that the functionality is in there and that it's working. So ultimately, you're welcome to post any bug you find, but yes, absolutely, we will have some focus tests.
Awesome. And on a side note, as a follow-up, it would be nice to see some comments in the alpha testing section regarding issues or fixes implemented on the internal testing, just for us to feast our eyes with. So I think we do that closer to the testing phases. Like when a bug is fixed, we'll put an announcement up and say, thanks for your feedback, we were able to squash this one. Or we'll say it's ongoing, we've made progress or whatnot. So that's typically around PA time, though. I don't think we'll really update out of those set times.
Right. Just to add to that, you know, we have a timeline of, you know, different sprints, different software sprints, and we have uh, scope. So there's also scope for bug fixes too. So something very simple like, you know, maybe, I mean, I'm just making these up, but let's say a shield looks funny and your character's not holding it correctly. That might be a bug fix that we're willing to put off for a while so we can get more important bugs fixed. You know, I mean, ultimately we want to fix all the bugs, but there's definitely a scope. So if you find from PA session to PA session that, hey, you know, there's this one bug that just keeps sticking around, if you've reported it, we know about it. It just might not be within scope yet.
That's it. Still on the list of things to do and to fix, but just, yeah, down the list. Get the game-breaking bugs first. Alright, so here's a good one. So, I'll read the first part too. Zoeii is awesome, and we've talked to her before, so it's hard to come up with new questions. But, here's one. How do you expect the role of player testers to change as we move from pre-alpha to alpha to beta? So I think this is a pretty big question, but if we can kind of narrow it down a little bit, like from different, what we expect from different phases from our testers. Can you hear me, Kim?
So yeah, I just had a cut out towards the end. So can you just repeat the last bit of the question?
Yeah, sure. It just says, how do you expect the role of player testers to change as we move from pre-alpha to alpha to beta? Like, how will their roles change for each testing phase?
That's a good question. So, as far as how their roles are going to change, so certainly this again the scope of the game is going to change drastically. We'll have, you know, going from pre-alpha to beta, for instance, is a huge jump. So you know, right now, if you remember in some of the first pre-alphas, there's probably a lot of maybe solo content that you were going through because it was low level, and then we opened up some higher level stuff, you know, and even people have seen that on stream. So you'll definitely be doing, you know, more group oriented stuff and just really getting down to the true vision of the game as we're, you know, headed towards launch. So I wouldn't say it's going to change drastically. You're still going to be looking for bugs, but without giving out too many details, you know, the focus will change slightly.
Yeah, the gameplay, there'll be more things, features and systems implemented, and it'll start to feel like more of a real game as we kind of move through those phases too. So it'll become bigger, more group orientated, and yeah, start to flesh it out a bit more fun, a few more things to do. But until then, focus on all the important stuff so we can get there. Alright, so moving on to the next one. Here's a good one for you. Given that you are intimately involved in the development of this project, how can you assure us that you are maintaining an unbiased eye to quality assurance? It's a big one.
So I guess that's directed specifically at me and not just the team. Or...
Right at you.
Well, I can say, you know, I have a pretty analytical mind, and I can get really lost in data sheets and stuff. So the minute I start pulling Excel out, it's on, and I'm going for hours. So, just, you know, it can become kind of monotonous if you're testing the same thing over and over. But I want this game as much as anyone in our chat wants it now, and any of our fans. I started as a fan, and you know, this is a game I want to play. So it, you know, I got to do what I got to do to make sure it's the best. All of us do.
That's exactly right. Spot on. And I think in all areas, like, we're all fans, we're all gamers, we're all, you know, passionate about this project, and a lot of the team, have started from either the community or keeping a very close eye on it from other games and that. So there's a lot of passion in there that, we want this to be right. We're very critical of ourselves, and, we push ourselves to a pretty high standard to make sure that we can deliver something that's, exceptional. So I think, with things like that, the biased, I think we're probably biased in a good way, that we're too hard on ourselves and want the best. So sometimes we need to pull back a little bit. But yeah, it's a great answer. Okay, so the second one. These are some good questions. So do you have any examples of some aspect of the game where your internal QA testing team and the PA testers disagreed? What was the outcome of this?
I think that's a good question, but it's getting more into like the feedback area, because in some of the spots where there could have been maybe a little bit of conflict, might have just been, it could be something like balance, but we're so not ready for balance to be prime time yet, just because of what I said. We have so many things that could be added and built out more. Right now, I don't think there's really been too much of that. But certainly when it comes to feedback, everyone has their own opinion, and one thing that we as a company, as game developers need to do is stay true to the vision. So, that's kind of a hard question, but
It is.
I haven't really seen anything too major, but I'd say if there was any, it would be around feedback, more so design. So
Yeah.
I hope that answers it somewhat.
I think this is going to come into play more into alpha, and even more so in beta the closer we get to release, when the game's almost fully functioning and people are kind of now realizing what we have set in stone and what they kind of thought it was going to be versus what it is. They might start having a little bit testing feedback of like, we don't like this, and people start digging their heels in a little bit more. But it's not really happening in PA too much. There's everyone's on the same page. We're testing some pretty big systems, and they're in early stages, so there's not really much of that going on. Alright, so do you have any examples of things that your QA team has caught and the developers fixed prior to PA testers getting their hands on it? So do we have any big bugs or funny stuff that we can share with them that we've caught and fixed before they ever saw it?
Oh yeah, I mean there's all kinds of funny stuff. One night I was in BRK with some testers, and we were fighting hair. Bodies, faces disappeared, so we got a good laugh. We were like, Enchanter, get the hair on the left, and Mez the blonde hair on the right. It was pretty funny. There's those little bugs, they kind of just crop up, and that one the dev smashed really quick. But that'd be example, something that would be within scope pretty quickly. But we've had stuff like that. A lot of funny visual bugs. Distorted faces and stuff were always really fun. I should have prepared some of these, because we've definitely had good laughs, but I think the funniest one was the hair.
That's I didn't even see that one. That sounds hilarious. I remember rats walking through the sky with dual wielding swords and daggers. That was pretty cool. That kind of made me take a second look as well.
That was a good one too. Yeah, I loved the bats that were carrying torches.
Yeah. Nocturnal creatures flying through the air with a torch.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
That wasn't necessarily a bug. That was just a limitation in the code, wasn't put in yet. But yeah, it was funny. It's in now though.
Yeah, nice. Where are we? So, does your team do QA on art assets, animations, and game mechanics, or some combination of the three? So I think they're asking, other than just systems and mechanics and features, do we also do QA on art, assets, animations, all that kind of stuff?
Oh yeah, absolutely. if animation feels off to you in a big way, it needs to be reported. I myself have reported bugs where, for instance, maybe the swing of a sword doesn't match up with the sound or the collision with the NPC. So stuff like that is definitely, a good thing to keep an eye on. Just maybe the distance or the speed of a jump, or things that just really feel off. Definitely, they're worth reporting.
Yeah, absolutely. Those little things like that is what breaks immersion and can kind of stop you from getting involved in your character and enjoying the game too. So little things like that do make a difference. All right, so these last two from the same person are kind of a little bit personal, but out of curiosity, they're asking your QA background and any other games that you've done work for. You don't have to name big companies if you don't want, but yeah, up to you.
Okay. Well, professionally, I have done QA testing and regression testing. It's not something I do have done professionally like all my life, but I did have some professional experience. I have many years in information technology experience. So as far as games, I've been in alpha and beta tests for as long as I can remember. I've been playing MMOs since EverQuest. So I'm a huge MMO fan, so it kind of just made sense with my background and my love for games to put the two together.
Yeah, nice. What's EverQuest? I keep hearing that come up, but I'm not sure what it is.
Man, I might have to send you a video or two.
I'll have to do some research. That name sounds very popular. So, assuming that you're a long-term MMO player, what was your playstyle? Casual gamer, hardcore push the limits, somewhere in between?
I think I lost you again. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, sorry, I'll repeat. So, assuming that you're a long-time MMO player, what was your playstyle? Casual gamer, hardcore push the limits, or somewhere in between?
Oh man, I've been all of that. In my younger years, I was so hardcore. I'd play all night long and sleep 45 minutes and go to work. I didn't keep that up for very long, but eventually I started needing 2 hours of sleep a night. Right now, I'm probably more casual. I don't get to play a whole lot of games right now because of Pantheon testing and everything. And really, I'm just so engrossed in that and in other things in life. But I would put myself more at casual now. But when Pantheon releases, yeah, it's on. Probably going to be hardcore again.
So just a casual standby mode until we flick the switch.
Yep, exactly.
Nice. I like it. All right, so here's a question I know you're going to like. How many cats will Zoeii have in 5, 10, 20 years into the future?
I'm sorry, was that cats?
Yes, cats. How many do you currently have? And they're asking how many you're going to have in 5, 10, 20 years.
So who asked that question?
That was Dark Requiem.
Okay, so I guess it's known that I'm a cat person. I'm actually just an animal person. I love animals. So I personally have 5 cats, and I'm not going to say how many cats are in my house, but it's less than 10, because I'm also a volunteer in my community. I do rescue. Not cat lady, cat enthusiast.
It's the next level.
Right, and I also have a Chihuahua. And when you walk into my home, you will not smell cats. I am very meticulous, so you will not know I have a cat, let alone like 9. But anyways, yeah, I had 4 kittens for kitten season. I'm down to 2 kittens and 2 rescues who unfortunately lost their mother to heart disease. So, yep, saving the world one kitten at a time. It's my prerogative.
That's awesome. Love animal rescue as well. I love animals myself too. I've never had cats. I've always had family members that have had cats, so that's always been covered. I can go and visit them, and I've always had dogs myself. But yeah, absolutely love animals, and rescue's the best way.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, so now we've got a few good ones here to finish up on, and then we'll go into some live questions. So, regarding architecture, do the creation tools automatically size doors, stairways, etc. so ogres will properly fit, or must you create a rumbly, bumbly, temporary, tumbly character and try stuffing yourself through all the openings to be certain you can squeeze through? Who is the stuckee for checking that we won't get stuck?
That's quite a question.
It's a great question.
I would say that you're going to see difference. I'm not really 100% sure because I'm not. I haven't asked design about doors lately, but I would say that in the cities where we have races of shorter stature, the doors might be shorter by design. But if you're from an ogre city, they'll be bigger. I mean, I can't be responsible if you go to a gnome city and you can't get through the door. That's on you, man.
That's it. Okay, so this is still going on to architecture, asking for QA. Like, do you check for defects at the wireframe grey box stage, or wait until buildings are skinned?
It really just kind of depends on the sprint that we're in. So yeah, we absolutely do test in gray box, and there's been times where we tested when some of the art was already in. Keep in mind that in early development we used a lot of placeholder art, and that's changed. We have our own art now, so I'd say in the beginning there was a lot of placeholder art, and now we're moving to starting the testing during the gray box phase.
Yeah, nice. So this is a pretty important question. Does QA make certain there are sufficient pubs in each zone to support the massive onslaught of eventual bards once they exist?
We better.
I know, right? It'll be a lot of trouble if we don't.
I'll put that on my list. Thanks for bringing it up.
You can thank Kumu for that.
Thanks, Kumu.
Alright, so regarding terrain, do the world builders give you a list of things to check once a new zone is mapped, or do you randomly explore, checking slopes, cliffs as you go, or wait for testers to report terrain issues?
I report everything. They're probably so sick of it, but I'm looking for everything. Do they I know a lot of times I'll get with a zone designer and we'll do like a little flyover. So yeah, there's an introduction to the new content, but as far as like them telling me, yeah, no, there's a slope here and this and that, we don't go that deep into it. But trust me, I've walked over every slope and every blade of grass, so I'm generally in the know if something's wrong.
Yeah, nice. Alright, so he's asking, how much fun is testing climbing? Do you jump off the top, in brackets, after a few selfies with a spectacular view behind you? And to please say yes, even if it's a lie.
Oh man, climbing is so awesome right now. What the team has done with that, climbing is a lot of fun. It's just some of the animations that we have in, along with the back end of the climbing system, really super cool. Can't wait for you guys to see it.
The climbing is amazing. It's nothing. I don't think they've seen anything like this in other games. I can't recall climbing being this kind of cool in other games. So yeah, I hope they love it. All right. So how much hassle is it? This is regarding testing, like testers. So information gathering. How much hassle is it collating multiple bug reports concerning the same issue? Is there a tool that assists in this data mining, or is it all done manually? So I think they're asking.
So depends on what you mean by manually. So scripts can be written to pull out stuff like that. Typically, just running searches. We do get a lot of overlap. The same bug being reported over and over and over. That's why I've tried to kind of reiterate and nail it in that we want you guys to look at the existing bugs posts. I try to keep those updated on the fly during PAs. So, I mean, to give you an example, for several of the PAs, I asked that no one report water-related bugs, but I got tons of them. So, just trying to be mindful of that, because, it does take me and my team time to go through and get rid of that stuff. So, that's really all I can say on that.
Yeah, cool. That's fair enough. So, does it ever help to have a tester demonstrate a problem live? Obviously, a well-written bug report with clear steps to recreate the issue is best. But they recall once in a game years ago when a dev broadcast for a volunteer then proceeded to kill me over and over at their spawn point to root out an odd level reset bug, dropping them back to level 1. After 90 minutes of GM kill commands, he finally reproduced the bug and said he found the reason. Then again, he probably just didn't like minstrels. So do we ever use live kind of testing with people like that, or on ourselves?
So, yeah, sure. So what testing looks like for me and some of my other, and Tyler actually, is I'm watching the ticket queue while PAs are in progress. And if I see one that's particularly bad and maybe there's not enough information, I'll go and I'll find that person in game and talk to them. So be watching out for your tells, because you never know when a GM might send you one. As far as I'm not sure who did the killing for 90 minutes. I probably would just get additional information and then try to reproduce it myself. But that's really funny. But sure, yeah, I'd love to do more testing with you all. There's been times where I've jumped in on PAs and didn't come in on a character named Zoeii and actually grouped with you all. So sometimes I want some fun too.
Man, I don't know how I get away with it, but GMing PA sessions, I GM kill lots of people and spawn lots of stuff on them. I'm not even QA. They're like, did we help your kills? Yeah, of course you did.
I try to just do that on streams.
Yeah, that too.
To people named David.
Yeah, such an easy target. And the last question for that person is, who is your favourite? And they go, I know, you can't say, just asking for a friend. I think they mean your favourite tester.
My favorite tester? I'm taking applications for the next favorite tester. So, when you guys are submitting tickets, make sure you put some really good repo steps, because that's what I'm looking for.
There you go. She can be bought. Properly well-designed tickets. A couple of compliments in here and there, and you'll be right. You'll become the favourite.
Yep.
All right, so last question before we flip over to live. Can you share any insight on how the game tenants have had a direct influence on your work?
Oh, well, I mean, I always keep them in my mind. As a matter of fact, I go and read them pretty often just to remind myself why I'm here and why this game is so freaking awesome. I mean, there has to be a little bit of a balance there, though, because remember, we are in pre-alpha, so going and nagging programming or design to maybe get some of this content in, we have a timeline that we're drilling through, so definitely keep it in mind, but I imagine that we'll be getting closer to actually hitting those tenants, further on in development.
Yeah, absolutely. I do that too. I think a lot of the team do. Like we ground ourselves and we go back to the tenets and remind ourselves, why we're here and, why we're doing this and, the kind of effort and passion we're putting into the game to make sure that we're keeping ourselves on track and aligned with the overall goals of the company and the community. And I think it's important to do that. And if you don't, you can, very easily lose track. Lose sight of the end goal and go off in different directions, which we see in other games and things all the time. Alright, so we're going to open it up. So if you want to tag myself or Zoeii at Kilsin or at Zoeii, we will take some live questions for a little while longer before we finish up. The first one is from Neff a little while back, was follow-up question for Kim when we get to that point. We've heard previously that QA also has a big role in providing feedback to design on their brilliant ideas. How useful is general feedback on features or gameplay for this function of QA? For example, if a tester says something like, this ability worked but it doesn't feel quite right, and then goes on to describe as best they can what they're seeing and why it doesn't feel right to them, is that something that QA can take and run with, or does it really end up not being helpful?
So let me get this straight. Well, actually, let me answer that from my perspective. So if I go to Perkins anytime I feel like something isn't right, or anyone in design really, and say, hey, and I give my 2 cents too, because I've been playing games for a long time, and I have my ideas on what is fun, just like anyone does. From the VIPs or the fan perspective, I think there's definitely a place for good feedback like that. Posting it on the PA forums in one of the feedback threads. Hopefully there is. I'm pretty sure there still is one. That's good, and I know we all read them. But yeah, I mean, no one person has the answer to everything. No one person makes the best game, at least not anymore. Maybe back in the 80s, one programmer made it a game, but this is a huge undertaking, and it takes a lot of people and a lot of creativity. So, yeah, feedback is always good.
That's it. It's a huge undertaking to make a game like this, like massive. I still don't think people quite understand like how much goes into it, how hard all the departments work, and then break down into individual roles. And ultimately we come together as a team and discuss this and report to our peers, and they discuss it between themselves. Like, it's a huge team effort. There's no one person kind of pulling the reins. Obviously we have a vision, as we said, going back to the tenets, and we go back to those regularly and follow those to keep ourselves in check. But yeah, it's a huge team effort, which is why we're so community focused too, because as I said earlier, a lot of us have come from the community, and we still have that mindset of working together, which I think really works well with us and our company, and only going to be beneficial for the game and for our community in the long run. Alright, so I've got another question. If you guys got any more, we've still got we go from 45 to 60 minutes. We're sitting at 44, so if you want to go for another 15, start smashing those questions. We've got one more from Satori. Is it very often where a game-breaking bug has caused the timeline to be rearranged and or delayed, or are the devs usually pretty good about getting stuff like that fixed?
I wouldn't say that a game-breaking bug has ever really caused the timeline to be rearranged by much. I mean, certainly game-breaking bugs happen. But yeah, the devs are really good about getting on it really quick. Just like as soon as a build drops, myself or Tyler, we're jumping on it, and it could be midnight, and if we were to find a bug like that, the programmers are on it real quick. So yeah, typically those things aren't a huge problem.
Yeah, nice. And Vandrobe's got one for you. Can you give us an idea of what information is collected from PA testers automatically by the server?
That would probably be a better question for the IT team. I really, for Molad maybe, because I
Yeah,
just don't have that information.
Kurt and the guys, there'd be debugging stuff and general stuff like location and that I know that gets collected when I was talking to the guys earlier when we were doing PA. But yeah, I don't know how much specific stuff we can go into either, but there is general stuff like your location, um, yeah, all that kind of stuff. Screenshots taken when you post a report and things like that. So, which is
Right?
pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I don't know how deep you were wanting. Like, are we logging all chat and stuff? So, I mean, everything on the server gets logged. So,
Yeah, and that will continue throughout game as well. Like most games, I don't know a game that doesn't do that. Like it's just handy for QA, it's handy for developers, it's handy for customer service, for community management, all that stuff. Deal with incidents and
right.
everything like that. And also, yeah, duplicating bugs, like plats. A lot of people will tell their mates how to do it, their friends in or guild, how they just did something, and that gets logged, and then we can go and fix it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's fair to say that anything you say or do is going to be logged. That's the nature of any IT system, any computer. So, just assume that if you are duping items, that that's something we can find.
Yep. Can you provide an example of a bug where it was very difficult to reproduce, where you had to gather data over an expanded period of time?
Uh, yeah, sure. I think this one might have plagued during the PA a few times. There was a issue where abilities would sometimes gray out. It ended up being something pretty simple, at least one of the causes, and I just really happened upon it by accident. Part of part of testing is just getting in there and playing. I find the best bugs just going in and playing. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're trying too hard to find bugs, of course we look at bugs and we try to specifically reproduce that bug. But some of the most pesky bugs I've found just on accident. Found the reproduce how to reproduce them.
Yeah. Get lucky with some things like that. For PA5, with the increase in content to be tested, will there be a corresponding increase in either number of hours per session or the number of sessions per week? I think this is something we're still actually discussing internally. It's got to be. Look, we are a smaller team, so we do need to be able to log this stuff and pass all this information, collect it, and actually use it, rather than just be overwhelmed with all this feedback and info. Which is why I said in an earlier stream with Corey, a Dev Roundtable last month, that essentially like the team goes on hold from like progressing with the game while we're in a testing phase. So all hands are on deck to be able to manage the servers and collect the data and things like that, to make sure that we're getting all this feedback from bugs and everything, so we do have the information that we can go ahead and kind of fix it. But yeah, I don't know if
Right.
the hours or the sessions are going to increase. It's kind of like just broken down into manageable chunks for us to be able to GM at all different hours around the world, and also be able to log that information and provide the best possible experience for our testers as well. So I don't know if you have any beans to spill other than that.
I don't have any. I will say that we try to make everyone happy. We have testers from all over the world, and you know, I can tell you, I've been involved in all the internal talks about PA times, and the concern is always about trying to find a time when everyone can play and test.
Yeah, that's a big one too. And luckily we have people all over the world. So being in Australia, I was doing a couple of shifts where the rest of the team was asleep, and we'd have Euros and Aussies in there having fun. They were smaller groups, but we were still able to open the servers up and do that kind of thing, and we're hoping to do that again. Okay, so Isaiah's asking what was my most memorable fun bug, but I think this can be for both of us. My one was my rogue had permanent invis, like the smoky haze invis. I'd click it. There's a few things I would do to actually make this happen, and I would change stance a couple of times, and then click a couple of abilities, and it would lock me in this smoky invisible, so I could run around, do whatever I want at normal pace, and have full abilities, and that was really cool. So I didn't have to toggle GM invuln or anything on. I could just run around and yeah. The only thing I'd do is add the special run speed, the Joppa run speed, and then I'd just whip around the chunks just with this trail of smoke behind me, and no one would know where I was, and I could go and spy on groups and do things to freak them out. They wouldn't see who it was. What was yours, Zoe?
I think mine's still gonna be the hair. I mean, it was just so funny. Fighting hair. It's hard to beat that one.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. I'm spewing I didn't get to see that. Okay. So, will there be a prize for the first tester to break crafting next PA session? We'll probably have to talk to Corey about that. See if he can set up a prize or a GM treat or something for the first person to break crafting. But it's in its early stages, so I don't think it's going to be hard. We want it to be broken, so yeah. It will be good to get like crafting and harvesting in on the next one in some form anyway. Will be good, even if it's just early stages. Randall, all of us, all staff members can run like a flash. So we've got this special buff that you guys have a speed buff on one of the classes. We have a special one that's like a Joppa. It's actually called Joppa something, and it makes you run like four times that speed.
It's called Spirit of Joppa, and
that's it.
I've relied on it, many a times to get places really quick, and then one day I logged in and Spirit of Joppa was super slow, like slower than normal speed, and I'm like, doggone it, CP, you've messed Joppa up again. But luckily I can go in and change that, so.
Yeah. SOJ was awesome. Every time I logged in for GM, it was all the slash commands to be invuln and that, but I would also put the Joppa on and could just zoom around everywhere. Alright.
Yeah.
So, if there's no more, we'll go one last question and then wrap it up. Will there be some internal screenshots released to the VIPs at any point in time of various bugs, etc. from the team? Look, that may be something we could do. You guys are all under NDA, so I can have a chat to the team about that from a community side of things, and talk to Kim as well to see what's suitable, if anything, that we could kind of release. But I think, hair bugs.
Is this pictures?
Like yeah, like a screenshot of like the hair bug or something like that, or a bat in the air with a torch. I think released to just VIPs, we could probably look at doing. But we just have to run it by some other team members first.
Yeah, if we're gonna do that, I think I can probably look through my cache of old stuff. I had just found an old video of me sliding down a hill like I was sledding recently. That was really early. But yeah, if we're given the okay, I'm fine with that. There was one question I think I recall being asked earlier, but I don't know that it was answered. It was something to the effect of, was it something about giving videos? Oh, it was the live testing. Never mind, I remember now. Yeah, Kilsin, though, this is a good point, though. When they're in pre-alpha, I know that there's been people have asked if they're allowed to take video, and maybe send it to me. We definitely have to look at that and see if that's within the NDA.
Yeah, the rules we kind of state, or what I like with the policy I wrote for that was essentially they can't unless you directly ask them in a PM to do it, and then they're allowed to take that video and send it to you, but it's not to be distributed or shown publicly or outside of that.
Okay, so that's good to know.
Yeah, so if you want someone, you need to see video evidence of it. You can you can tell them to, or ask them nicely to take a video of exactly what's happening, and then just to email it through to you. And then we can have a look.
Cool.
Hey, Sacred popped in. Right at the end. 5 minutes left. Just as we're wrapping up.
We should get him on this call.
We can get him on if he wants to.
And have people throw him a couple questions.
Yeah, if he wants to.
We gotta give him some love.
I don't know if he's available, or whether he's just trying to sneak in and listen, but he's more than welcome to if he wants to jump in. I don't know if he's mic'd up either. I don't want to just grab him and drag him in here. He might be in the middle of something.
I will give him a second to respond here.
Yeah. Are you hitting him up on Skype?
Yeah, I will.
Cool. Alright, so we'll see if Sacred can jump in and say hello for a couple of minutes right at the end. But other than that, do you have any questions at all, guys? Any more to finish up? We've got a few minutes left. Falling through the map with a run speed thing? Surprisingly, no. The meshing and that's pretty good in Pantheon, unless you're right at the edge of a like a zone line or an invisible wall or something. Like sometimes you can kind of get yourself wedged, but I can't remember too many times where I've actually fallen through the world without purposely doing it. Like there's this GM hack we can do where it can just fly through anything, and I do that to get through invisible barriers or cave walls or something, or if I get lost I'll just fly around until I find where I need to be. But yeah, actually falling through the world, I can't remember too many times of that actually happening. Even at that speed, you kind of skip. So you're going so fast, if you go over a little bump and as you're coming down, if you hit a rock or something, you'll skim and fly even faster until you land. And you do this kind of like landing animation as a GM, but you won't take any damage. And then you just keep going back at super speed. It's kind of cool. So this one's for Zoeii. So how does one measure the quality of effects on the game / community with things like faction? So are we at a stage where we're testing factions and stuff, Kim?
Not really. We're not. It's not something we've really gone into yet. So I think I'll leave that question for someone on design to answer, because I really don't know if that's something we're ready to talk about.
Yeah, that's cool. Did Tyler get back to you?
No, not yet. Will there be a special dev portal in the water? Well, I mean, I can portal anywhere I want, so I guess if Zoe's in the water and wants to portal, sure.
That's what I used to do. Fly up into the air as high as I could above like an area of water, and then just summon my group, and then quickly disappear, and just watch them all plummet from the sky, fall down, get a mad view of the entire chunk, and then land safely in water and have to swim.
That's really funny.
It wasn't totally cruel. I didn't let them fall to their deaths, but then they had to swim a long way out of the water. Alright, so we are just on wrap-up time, unfortunately. I did speak to Tyler earlier, Sacred, and like before this went live, and I'm definitely going to get him back on somehow, even if I do a combination of devs, maybe have 2 or 3 devs, one from each department, and do a bit of a medley, so we can have lots of topics covered and have a bit of fun. So if that's the case, I will definitely get Tyler on. I know he was very, very keen, and was sad that he couldn't make it, but yeah, we'll get him on at some stage so they can talk to him.
Yeah, he just let me know he couldn't get on. Any creature that I'd want to follow me through the game, well, I'm probably gonna be a druid, so maybe a fox.
Yeah, nice.
It's been really fun hanging out with y'all. It's been a really long time since I've done one of these, so thank you for having me, everyone, and keep up the good work. We We love y'all. We appreciate all the support you give.
That's it. Thank you very much for joining me, Kim. It's much appreciated. It's great to have you back on. And yeah, we'll have to do it again soon. When we go into PA5, I'm sure there'll be lots of love for you again when we get you back on. Go over some new questions and that. But thank you very much, guys. If you've got any more questions, you can continue on in the thread. I will leave it open. I will post this recording to VIPs and champions as soon as this is done. I'll start uploading it and post it a little bit later on for you. So thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it a lot. Much love to you guys, and we will see you again at the end of next month. Have a great night.
Thanks.
See you guys.